On today's show, where do Grant Williams and Josh Green rank among the best wings in the NBA? And how far up the list could they rise this season with a bigger role and development? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Join the Raccoon Squad, be an everydayer, subscribe, follow for free. Just search Locked On Mavericks wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section. Would you rank Grant Williams or Josh Green higher right now? Just who do you think is better? Curious what you guys think. Today's episode is brought to you by Chase Medical. Empower yourself with a purchase with a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics to treat over 50 infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. If you want to support our show, get text alerts, text us on Mavs rumors and more. Subscribe to our newsletter, Jesus. Subscribe to our subtext.
That's new.
Click the link in the description. There's no newsletter. Click the link in the description. Subscribe to our subtext. I did a watch back today where I went back and I watched the end of the Mavs Knicks game where Luka had 60. He had the putback. So I watched that. And you get my thoughts on that. It's kind of fun to be able to go back and watch some of these. So if you have some suggestions, subscribe to the subtext. I'll send you the link. Tell me that you need the link, and I'll give you the link. And then suggest some things that we should do. Which game should I go back and watch? I can do any game from last year, maybe some older ones. And so we can do some of that. Maybe Isaac will join me for some of these. So, yeah, let us know. Subscribe to our subtext. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com. The winged wonder, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
So I feel like in September, we should just do the throwback to old arguments we used to have on the pod.
The Jean Clavel versus PJ Dozier.
PJ Dozier. Shout out. Somebody tweeted a few days ago and was like, the return of Fiery Isaac.
Oh, yeah. He was back.
That
One night only.
Fun thing. Leave a comment below if you were here for the Game of Thrones debate days.
I made a comment about Game of Thrones right before this, and I really set Isaac off.
I said that I hadn't seen Secret Invasion yet.
Yeah.
And Nick was like,
From Marvel.
And I was like, well, it has Emilia Clarke in it. Love Emilia Clarke.
Same.
And you made a comment about they kind of
and they wasted her in that too.
And I was like, oh, here we go. And anyway,
the endings. They just couldn't land the endings. I don't know what's going on.
So today we're gonna rank Game of Thrones characters. And
disagree. Today we're gonna rank wings in the NBA. Yesterday we did guards, our Luka and Kyrie top 5 or top 10 guards in the NBA. So go listen to that episode if you're interested in that. Today we're gonna do wings. Josh Green, Grant Williams. Little different talking about these guys compared to Luka and Kyrie. But where do they rank? Are they top 30,
5,
40? 50? Where do they rank? And then we want to talk about how high they could rise this season, because Grant Williams, 24, he's jumping into a bigger role this season. Josh Green, 21, 22, he's jumping into a bigger role, and he can have more development too. And so how far could they rise depending on what kind of season? And so we want to do that. But let's start here. Who ranks higher for you, Grant Williams or Josh Green? And again, we do these lists looking at just next season. Who would I take next season? Who's a more talented, better player just next season? So a lot of people going back and forth about, how can you have Luka over Steph? Because Steph has a unanimous MVP. Guys, that was 6 years ago. You have to take into account.
Doing Hall of Fame cases.
Yeah, right. We're not doing, you can't go back to titles and all that. You have to just look at what's ahead of you. And so for these two guys, who do you have ahead of who right now going into next year?
Yeah, I have Grant over Josh. I think there's a little bit more to work with as far as consistency. there's still a little bit of, I feel like there's less of a question mark around Grant. I feel like there's less of a range of variables for Grant, in the sense of, I feel pretty confident of like what we're going to get in Grant Williams this year. And I think it's gonna be pretty good. I'm not saying he's a top 5 wing in the league or anything like that, but I think his role and stepping in, like what they're gonna ask of him, is gonna fit great in Dallas. I think the wide range for Josh is what, like, there's a world in which Josh takes the next big leap, and we're sitting there saying, all right, well, how high up this list are we going?
Yeah.
There's also worlds where Josh is just who Josh is, like right now, which is still like solid, like, all right, cool, you're in a rotation, but I would have him behind Grant Williams.
I think I agree with you. I think Grant brings some guarantees that Josh Green doesn't necessarily right now. Grant Williams, we know, is going to shoot 45% from 3, where Josh Green got there last year, shot 40% from 3, but do we know that that's a guarantee? It was kind of shaky. I mean, still go back to the Rudy Gobert guarding him in the corner, quote unquote, air quotes, guarding him in the corner where he really wasn't. And what can we get from Josh Green? He's taken real steps forward. We're real high on him. We think that it should be the starter, and that these two guys should be the Mavericks starters going into the season. And so we think that he can, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to get from Josh Green, because there can be this swing. Whereas Grant Williams, I know what he is, but I also know what he isn't, right? Like, I know that Grant Williams can't take the same kind of step forward that Josh Green could, because he doesn't have the same kind of ball handling, attacking the rim, passing, like those sort of like skills that Josh Green brings. Grant Williams doesn't, but I know what I'm going to get from Grant Williams.
Would you be comfortable saying Josh has the higher ceiling?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying, because he can bring those extra skills. Like, would I be surprised if in 10 years we're like, man, Josh Green is running an NBA offense and running pick and rolls, and I didn't ever think that he would turn into the Iguodala type that we really wanted him to be, that we've kind of compared him to, what his ceiling could be. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, one, you got to figure out like how high, like what is if Josh hits everything that he can hit in his career, is it peak Andre Iguodala, which is an incredible player. That's if Josh,
you know what they say, game on the line, I'm taking Iguodala.
That's one of the dumbest lines I've ever seen.
One of the dumbest lines in sports media history. It's so funny.
Yeah, so that's why I have Grant above Josh, just because of the guarantees and the consistency right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I do think, though, that Grant Williams can rise a little bit on this list, because I think that he's going to step into a bigger role. There are some things that Grant Williams can add. He tried some off-the-dribble stuff, attacking the basket. He did some of that in college, and then tried some of it last year. And we had John Corrales on of Locked On Celtics, and he was saying how bad that was for the Celtics, because he was trying to play out of his role and do some extra stuff that sort of put a wrench in the gears of the Celtics offense last year. The Mavericks may want Grant Williams to do some of that stuff, because they're going to create these wide open shots. Guys are going to attack him, and try to close out, and he's going to have to attack those closeouts. And so, do they want him to do some extra stuff? Is there some more that he can bring to his game? And so, can Grant Williams take another step forward? He seems real hungry and real ready. Like, every interview and everything that you hear from him, he's ready. He just bought a house in DFW. Like, he's in. Like, he
loves Dallas. Yeah, it's hard to make this list that we're about to go through, but this list of, it's the off season, so we're just having fun with rankings. But it's like, hey, best overall player for wings. Like, who's the best player?
Yeah. And
when you're making these rankings, because when you start going down through and throwing a bunch of these names, you're like, all right, this player is like the better probably overall player, more versatile than Grant. But it's like, once you venture into the category of like top role players, like that plays a defined role. Like, you look at a guy like Keldon Johnson, it's like, I wouldn't say he's a defined like role player. He's asked to do a little bit more and all that. But once you get into that group of defined role players, I don't want to say elite, but like the elite Bruce Bowens of the world for the San Antonio, like those defined roles, but they're really good at those defined roles.
Yeah.
And the Jaden McDaniels, the Bruce Browns, like the current guys now, I think Grant has to be in that, like the elite of the defined role players. But some of these other guys probably have a better overall like bag.
How far down the list is that? We'll tell you that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about a problem in life that I had never considered before. When we brought on Jace Medical, this is a problem I had never even thought about. And if you're somebody out there that likes to be prepared, you know that the winter is coming, and so you want to get water and prepare just in case for the pipes to freeze or whatever. You know that like summer is coming, and like the fire and the heat will hurt, and so you prepare. Jace Medical will help you prepare with medicine too. Jace has this product called Jace Case that provides 5 life-saving antibiotics that treat, what do they say, 50 plus, over 50 different kind of infections, and they'll give you, a sheet that tells you all the different things that you can do with it and how it can help you when there's an emergency, or if you're traveling and you don't know where to go and you've got some kind of infection, or the supply chains get broken. I mean, we've had that happen with dumb things recently, but not with medicine yet. And so what if that happens? Jace Medical has you covered with that. Save more than $360 by buying from them instead of getting these from, like over the counter or wherever you'd get them. Get these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off their price by using the code LOCKEDON. That's one word, all caps, LOCKEDON, at checkout at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Check it out. See what's available. It's pretty easy to sign up. I did it. They're sending one my way right now. I'm excited to tell you about it. Again, jacemedical.com. Use that promo code LOCKEDON.
My first shot, my first make.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, being an everydayer, listening every day. Again, subscribe to our subtext. Go check out my film. It's not really a film breakdown. It's like me watching film with you, giving thoughts. I'll stop and pause and show some plays and things like that. But subscribe to our subtext, and you can get that. Text me if you want the link, and we'll get it to you. And I'll do more of those. I'll take requests. So subscribe to our subtext. All right, Isaac, let's start going through our list, actually, because we think Grant Williams ranks higher on this list. Grant and Josh are not going to rank very high on this list. Definitely not as high as Luka and Kyrie ranked. But where do they rank as far as the best wings in the NBA? We'll go through the top of this pretty quick here.
Yeah.
Giannis is 1 for me.
I had him as a big. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, my bad.
Yeah, we did. We talked about. So we talked about like the bigs we talked about were Pascal Siakam, Julius Randle, Larry Markkinen, Zion Williamson, Karl Anthony Towns, Draymond Green, like John Collins, those type of guys. So I can see how you would put Giannis in that group.
Yeah, I just like put him. Yeah, I originally had Markkinen as a wing, but then I was like, no, you're right. He's a big.
I also have LeBron in this group. Do you?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so you have LeBron, but not Giannis.
I know it's weird.
Do you have Kevin Durant?
Uh-huh.
Okay, Giannis 1. I have Tatum, Durant, and Jimmy Butler, and LeBron. That's my top 5.
Oh, so yeah, I have 3 at the top. I have Tatum, Durant, and Jimmy Butler, all 3 together.
Yeah,
I do not have LeBron in that group.
Yeah, I had Giannis in his own tier, and then the 3 that you put in the same tier, and then I put LeBron in a tier below that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have Kawhi,
so
LeBron, and Paul.
This time.
I have Kawhi, LeBron, and Paul George in the second tier by themselves.
Same. I put Jaylen Brown with them in that group. So we have the same top 8 so far. If you would have Giannis.
Yeah.
And then I went DeMar DeRozan at 9. Still holding on.
Oh.
Still holding on.
Okay. Well, I'll give you the shock factor a step above, but in a different direction.
You're going Paolo Banchero at
I have Paolo
9.
Banchero.
I have him at 10. I have him in his own spot at 10 there.
I have Paolo at 7. So,
at 7.
Yeah, I have Paolo and Jaylen Brown together.
Well, you got to count Giannis and then.
Oh yeah.
And then so it's Giannis and DeRozan are the 2 that you don't have for those reasons.
Well, I have Giannis in the bigs. I have DeRozan further down this list.
Right.
But
interesting. Yeah, I still think that DeRozan still has something. That season he had last year was just so amazing. He should probably go. He should probably go with Chris Middleton on this list, but I don't know. I'm still holding on to it
because I'm sure if somebody you're listening to this and you're like, all right, well, how are you determining like DeRozan versus Josh Giddey? Like they're two different type of wings. I get it. It's impossible. I'm not saying like these are right rankings, because that's how I started falling victim to the. All right, so I'm kind of pairing these two guys together because like they're like the older scoring vets, and then I have like, oh, okay, well this is the young crew here. So like for me, after the Kawhi, LeBron, Paul George, then I have a tier of Paolo and Jaylen Brown, and then I'm probably gonna surprise you by this too. I have two young guys, Mikal Bridges and Franz Wagner.
No, I got Mikal Bridges at 11, right after Paolo, and then I have Chris Middleton, then I have Franz Wagner at 13. So I'm right there with you.
So I have Wagner over Middleton, Brandon Ingram, and DeRozan.
That doesn't surprise me. I think I would. You could talk me into that. I still think DeRozan.
Little FIBA bump there.
Yeah, give him the FIBA. Got the gold medal. Give him the bump. Congrats to Germany. Yeah, and then I have Brandon Ingram 14. So that rounds out my top 14.
Yeah, so we have the same 14. Also, shout out to the people in our comments yesterday about not including Dennis Schroeder in our.
There's a lot of angry people about that, and I'll just say I don't have Bogdan Bogdanovic in the wings ranking either,
or Jovic,
because FIBA is different. It's just a different game than the NBA.
Yeah, I need a little bit more than. The FIBA stretch from Schroeder for us say he's like a top 10 point guard.
Yep. Okay, so we have the same top 14, so we're good there.
Yeah.
Still haven't gotten to a Maverick. It'll be a little ways. This is where it gets impossible. Like after this, I think there's a pretty clear group. Like I have a next. How many is this? 11.
Holy crap, that's a tier.
Well,
I have 5 guys, but they're all like
I could split them if I really wanted to, but. I've just got this next 11 in kind of their own clump that they're elevated role players that can hit the level of a star on one end of the court or another, but don't do it consistent enough to be considered in the Ingram, Franz Wagner, Mikal Bridges tier.
Yeah. Okay. So how about you list off your 11 and then I'll tell you which one of your 11 I don't have in my.
Yeah. This would round out my top 25, by the way. So if you want to think about it that way, okay. Aaron Gordon.
I made him a big, so sorry.
Dylan Brooks, OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Williams, Michael Porter Jr., Josh Giddey, Kyle Kuzma, Jeremy Grant, Andrew Wiggins, Jaden McDaniels. Dylan Brooks still an elite defensive player. The offense will come and go. We saw it come hard against USA, and like he can do it. It's just consistency.
I have Dylan Brooks pretty far down, yeah.
How far down?
I have him in the same tier as Grant Williams.
Interesting.
It's just a little further down. Yeah, so I did some younger guys in my next tier: Josh Giddey, OG, Michael Porter Jr., Scotty Barnes, Jalen Williams, and then one guy that I don't think I could have missed it. Did you say Cam Johnson?
No, I got him in the next group.
Because I have Cam Johnson with like the Wiggins, Jeremy Grant, Kuzma group.
I don't know what to do with some of these guys. Like,
yeah. So anyway, I think it's going to get a little confusing to our people now. So let's do the where's Grant Williams and where does he stack up?
Keep going until we get to Grant Williams because I'm through 25 and I don't have him yet.
Yeah, so for me, it's like once you get past the like Wiggins, Jeremy Grant, Kuzma type of range, then it's like, all right, when does Grant Williams start entering into this? Grant Williams versus Keldon Johnson, Grant Williams versus Bojan Bogdanovic. Like I think I'd still give the nod to Bojan. I'd still give the nod to the Keldon one's fascinating because like what they ask of Keldon Johnson to do is like what you're not going to ask for Grant Williams.
So different.
So
let me do. So I've already done my top 25. Here's my list of guys I have above Grant Williams. Tell me who tell me who should be below Grant Williams.
Dylan Brooks.
Already? You've got Dylan Brooks below Grant Williams.
I don't even know if I have Dylan Brooks as a top 30.
Yeah, that's too far. He's still a good player with all the antics and everything. Like he's still.
Did you just watch the Canada USA game like 3 times in a row? Like you just
got it on an iPad. I'm walking around with it in life, just like
he got 80 something million. So
he can have those those types of nights.
Yeah,
he can also have bad nights offensively, but.
Yeah, all right, keep on going. I'll tell you the tier I got him in, but keep on.
I'll tell you the guys that I have above Grant Williams. You tell me who I should have below him. We'll talk about that and name that where these guys can go coming up.
Greeny tees.
Shut it down! Oh, no! Let's go home!
Who do you think you're dealing with here? All right, Isaac Harris. I named my top 25. Yeah. We pretty much agreed with most of the guys except for Dylan Brooks. And let me just name the guys I have above Grant Williams. Tell me who I'm wrong about. Yeah. Cam Johnson, Caleb Martin, Bruce Brown, RJ Barrett, Keldon Johnson, Bojan Bogdanovic in Detroit.
Yeah, boy.
Tobias Harris, Josh Hart, Lou Dort, Devin Vassell, who I'm high on. I think he takes a step forward this year. Trey Murphy III, who just got injured, so we're not going to know if that one's right or not.
All right, there's a lot of names here that I wouldn't have over Grant.
And then I have Grant Williams.
Yeah, I wouldn't take Trey Murphy over Grant Williams.
So I think he's got two-way ability that he was going to take a leap this year, but he just got hurt. He'll be out for a while. So
yeah, I mean he can jump higher than Grant, so I give him that.
He can get his own shot. He can get his own shot. He can defend. He's got the athleticism. Trey Murphy's got something.
So for me, it's that when we were talking the first segment of once you get into that range of who's the top of the dedicated role players. And for me, I put Grant Williams in that group with the Josh Harts, the Bruce Browns, the Dylan Brooks. You think Dylan Brooks is, Scottie Pippen. So no, I think
scored 40 on USA.
You think of Jaden McDaniels, would you put him in that same group? Because I don't think McDaniels is he's not, you're not asking him to isolate and do these things like what San Antonio asked of Keldon Johnson, but it's
but he's elite defensively in a way that Grant Williams is not even. We think Grant Williams is good defensively, but he's elite defensively in a different way. Where I considered Herb Jones at times too. Is Herb Jones better than Grant Williams? No, because the offense. But Jaden McDaniels will at least give you some offense. So you have that. So it's what do I do? What do I do with a guy that's elite on one side of the ball but not the other? Or do I take a Grant Williams, a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a DeAnthony Melton? What do I do with those guys that are solid on both sides of the ball?
Well, there's something with Grant though that I think is getting a little bit overlooked is he brings a uniqueness part of this defender, bigger wing that there's not very many guys who bring the physicality of him. He's not a Giannis stopper. I get all of that. But when you talk about players who do defend Giannis decently, if you could pick a player, there's you're not picking Herb Jones to guard Giannis. That's where Grant's body and physicality brings a little bit more to the table that I think elevates him enough to where he can guard some of the Jimmy Butlers of the world, but he can also beef up against the Giannis's of the world at the same time.
If the Mavs and Nuggets somehow face off in a playoff series, we're going to probably do an episode on, is Grant Williams the answer to Jokic? Not a good one, but is he the answer where you put Grant Williams on Jokic and then you have whoever the center ends up being, Rashawn Holmes, Dwight, whoever, hopefully center X ends up being by that time. Can that player just roam and try to do what the Lakers did with, Rui Hachimura on Jokic? But Grant will do a much better job than what Rui Hachimura did at that point. And we'll talk about that as a wrinkle. And some of these guys, you don't have that. But each of the guys above Grant Williams, to me, has some kind of, wrinkle or uniqueness to their game that they can bring in something. A versatility or something.
And that's why I think it does put a cap when we're talking about best overall wings in the league. It puts a little bit of cap on how far he can go up the list. He's not gonna, I don't think I ever expect him to have the offensive versatility as a Jeremy Grant,
no,
or a Kyle Kuzma. He's not gonna reach that type of level there. Probably even, but could he be Cam Johnson. I mean, even Cam can get a shot a little bit more, but like that's the.
Can he get to the OG Anunoby? Honestly, Aaron Gordon, like Jaden McDaniels, Andrew Wiggins type spot. Andrew Wiggins can get a shot a little bit more than Grant Williams, but can he get to that elite role player status where we're looking at him as, man, isn't it great that the Mavs have a Grant Williams that can do all these things, answer so many problems that they had? Like, that's what those guys do, is they answer problems. They're not a problem for for another team. They answer the problems of your own team.
Yeah. What like peak PJ Tucker when PJ Tucker was, a few years younger, what he would give to those Houston teams. Right. And that's the stuff you're looking at, which is super important, to guard some of these other guys. So so if we,
I was going to say, here are the guys I have between Grant Williams and Josh Green. I finally got
let's start about Josh.
So I did Grant Williams. He made it to 37 on my list.
Okay.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, DeAnthony Melton, Herb Jones, DeAndre Hunter, Dorian, and then Josh Green. So then you've got that whole list of like solid two-way guys where I'm like, okay, I think Josh is on the lower end of these solid two-way guys, but he is one. So I put him ahead of, a Harrison Barnes or, some of these offense-only guys. Like I even put him ahead of Benedict Mathurin because he's giving you offense, but he's taking away on defense, and I don't know what to do with that guy.
I think I would take Benedict Mathurin over Josh Green.
That's fair. I think that's fair. Yeah. I'm not holding on. This is not a precious list to me.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If Josh takes the leap, how far up this list can he go?
Yeah, I could see him with a Caleb Martin, Bruce Brown. I have those guys at 27, 28, right? Like he takes a leap. He's a player that can play 35 minutes in the playoffs, like those two guys just did in their playoff run. Yeah. He can give you versatility. He can hold his own defensively and even be a plus on defense. But I don't know if he's breaking into the, Kuzma, Jeremy Grant, Jalen Williams from OKC. Like, is he breaking into that level where we think, on some nights he can be a star? Like, I don't think so.
That's why these rankings, like once again, if you listen to this, there's not a perfect ranking this because before the guard one that we did, yesterday, we're like, all right, there's a difference of like who you'd rather have versus who's the better overall player. To where like I think there's a lot of teams that would say, man, I would rather have Bruce Brown, but who's the better overall player between Bruce Brown's and Kyle Kuzma? Kyle Kuzma is probably gonna beat him one-on-one, probably the better overall player, But
you're making the Dylan Brooks case right now, by the way.
Yeah, I think his offense is a game. No, I think his offense is a little overrated. I think there are times
in his own head. Yes, for sure.
That's what I'm saying. And I think at time, I'm all here for the instigator. I think we need more people that bring that, but I think that goes against him at times too. I mean,
for sure,
Memphis didn't want him. Like they're kind of just like, bye, So that team kind of turned. So it's kind of like a.
But we didn't hold Kyrie and John Morant again. Like there's their off court stuff against them.
Yeah, but those guys still their teammates still want them though. Like,
did Kyrie's teammates in Brooklyn want him? James Harden did not.
Well, James Harden doesn't want anybody outside of a strip club.
Now James Harden doesn't want anybody. So who's that a referendum on? I don't know.
Yeah.
So here's the guys I had outside of the list. Should anybody have been on the list? Benedict Mathurin, you already said should. Karis LeVert, Gary. These are all the offense only guys that I was like, I don't know where to put these guys.
Yeah.
Mathurin, Karis LeVert, Gary Trent Jr., Kevin Huerter, Tim Hardaway Jr., Max Strus, Bogdan Bogdanovic from Serbia.
I like Bogdan. I mean, there's a couple younger guys that like Jabari Smith should be on this list.
Got some potential guys: Jabari Smith, Keegan Murray, Patrick Williams. Had no idea what to do with them on this list because I'm just talking about I'm just talking about next year.
Yeah, I mean, I would have, I think Keegan Murray is a better overall player than Jaden McDaniels, so, I have him above that.
Wow, so he would break into your top 25, top 30.
Probably, yeah. I think I'm really high on Jabari Smith. A guy you haven't mentioned at all is Shaedon Sharpe.
Oh yeah. I have a bunch of two-way guys: PJ Washington, Reggie Bullock, Royce O'Neal, Quentin Grimes, Harrison Barnes, and your boy, your nemesis, Kyle Anderson.
Reggie Bullock made your list.
No, these are guys that didn't necessarily make the list. That could they have? It's hard. The Wings one is hard. It depends on what you value. Depends on what you think is good. And yeah,
because it's almost like two separate rankings. Like we could do hey, let's rank the best role players in the league.
We could break it down into multiple ones. We could do best offense only wings, right? You could do best two-way wings.
Tim Hardaway's like, that's my music, baby.
Yeah, he's like, I'm on that list. We could do best like highest potential, and then you put the Jalen Williams, the Josh Giddey, the Jabari Smith, Keegan Murray, like you put them all on a list. Like there's a lot of different lists you could do with this.
What's your hottest take on like what's a hot take there in the rankings that you're like, hey, I have this guy over these guys that
apparently it's Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, that's true. No, I feel like people will like side with you. How about this? Am I too high on? I have J-Dub, Jalen Williams at OKC over Wiggins, Jeremy Grant, and Kuzma. Too high?
No, I have the same. I have him at 19. He's in top 25. I've had a Porter Jr.
Okay.
I think he's really good. I think he'll be really good next year.
Yeah. So anyway.
We got the takes. Let us know in the comment section. Do you think Grant Williams or Josh Green should rank higher? Where do you think they should rank by the end of the year? All that. Let us know in the comment section. Again, subscribe to our subtext in the link in the description. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.